All right. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to today's conversation on the Chiromo Hospital Group Facebook mental health um, awareness. I am really, really excited today because two things. One, this is just a beautiful, beautiful lineup of panelists. So I can't wait to engage and to learn from them. And secondly, because today is a conversation about destigmatization of mental health, something that we really, really need to continue talking about right, left, and center. And I'm going to start by giving the honor to the only one and only gentleman on this platform, joining us all the way from Kisii. We are very, very honored on behalf of Chiromo Hospital. Welcome. Please, Claire, mute your mic. Conversation on mic or as just mute your mic as you come in. So Rogers Omunya is a clinical officer and mental health practitioner at the Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital. Thank you for joining us. Please unmute and just tell us a few words. You can add on to that anything that I left out. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful lineup of.
Thank you, Gathoni, for inviting me to this session. As you said, I'm a clinic officer, a mental health practitioner at Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital. As we are speaking right now, I'm in a, a session, but I've left them a bit. We had a colleague who died by suicide a few days ago. So we've come to do some form of debriefing. So these are a very important discussion because we need to destigmatize mental health so that our people can open up, especially our colleagues working in health sector. I think most of them don't talk because they feel they are going to be stigmatized, or they feel that they are not going to get the help that they need. Thank you so much, Gathoni.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, and my condolences to you as colleagues and to the family and loved ones of your colleague who died by suicide. Indeed, it is time that we continue um, creating as much noise as we can and creating awareness in regards to issues to do with mental health. This is so close to us. And now more than ever, we need to hold each other close. Next on the panel, I have Joy. I'll just let her pronounce the rest of her names, but I'm proud to be moderating this conversation with Joy here, who has a lived experience as well as a sexual abuse survivor, and she works with the Leeds Community Foundation. I like to say that we cannot continue having conversations on mental health without involving individuals with lived experiences. So I'm truly, truly, excited to have you in this panel today. So Joy, please unmute and just add on to anything I could have left about you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you so much for having me. My name is Joychinasa Okibuno. That's how it's pronounced. Thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm a mental health advocate with lived experience. I actually battled depression for 13 years. From the age of 12, my first suicide attempt was at age 12. And I was sexually abused severely as a child and raped at the age of 21. So that resulted to my mental health challenges. I battled with PTSD as a result of that. Thank you, everyone. It's really nice to be here today.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And next on this panel, we have chosen, I'm glad to have chosen you to be the third one, if you get it. But anyway, Karibu Sana, chosen to this conversation. Chosen is a digital marketer and a database manager. Yes, we are happy and excited to have you here. So please feel free to unmute your mic and tell us something about yourself that I could have left out.
Yes, good afternoon once again. My name is Lukai Chosen, and I'm glad to be a part of this session. And as our moderator has said, I'm a digital marketer and a database manager, but I have the passion for mental health, and I'd like to see that my brothers and sisters out there that are well and not feeling inferior. So I'm privileged to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chosen, for that. And for those who are, please mute yourself. Yes, for anybody who is joining this conversation, this is a Chiromo Hospital Group live conversations happening every Thursday. And today we will be talking about destigmatization in mental health, or destigmatizing mental health. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop in on the chat box on any of the platforms. You'll be able to see that and display. Allow me to just dive right into this conversation. Just picking Rogers's brain. What is stigma, and why is stigma, considered harmful?
Thank you so much, Gadoni, for that question. Stigma is the negative attitudes that people tend to show to people who have certain conditions or characteristics. Like it's a form of discrimination, especially to people with mental health conditions, because they feel like they are not functional, or they cannot maybe do what other people can do. So basically, stigma is harmful because it may worsen the condition of a patient, or it may make them not to seek for health services, and this increases the mental health burden in our country, because if people are not going to seek the services that are going to help them recover, we are going to have so many people who are not functional, with conditions that can be treated, and they can be functional like any other person. So basically, stigma is very harmful. It can even make people not to go to social places. People can isolate themselves and stay indoors most of the time. Yeah. Yes, Gadoni, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Right, Rogers. Thank you so much for that. Basically, I do agree with you about the negative beliefs that are surrounding stigma, and I'm happy that you've ramped that in regards to showing us the impact that stigma has on individuals, leading to harmful behaviors, self-harm, isolation, etc. And I'm glad that we are having this conversation today. From where you sit, Chosen, what are some of the ways that society displays stigma? Some of the examples of stigma.
Okay, the way society displays stigma in the community provides inaccurate stereotypes to the people. And a person with anxiety may be called like a coward in the society. If I'm having a problem, they call me a coward, and it makes me inferior within the society. And that is overemphasis of the different situations through different podiums like social media, the phones, as you have already seen, people come joke about the different things, which isn't really nice. And it brings us down if you're really not okay with that, and it really covers you up to have the inferiority, the shame, which isn't nice, and people with depression are told to just brush it off. Yet those people are the people who need help in the society. So that's how the society brings it up. And many people are characterized as violent. We have seen many cases in the society where one isn't okay. One is mentally ill, and they call them all sorts of names, and at the end of the day, they're violent, and which brings them to call them violent, which isn't really nice for us to do in the community. So that's how I can say that.
Right. And just please allow me to
I didn't get what you said, please.
I was waiting for you to mute. Yeah, please allow me to pick your brain, because I know we all share the commonality of the continent, but you coming from Uganda, how would you say like the state of mental health is in specifically different to stigma, and how people look at mental health, mental illnesses, and just the attitude around that? How is it in Uganda?
Currently, the society, the state, it's really not okay, because many people have fallen victim, and at a percentage, like my own ratings, I can say 50% at least have fallen victim, and it's really not nice, and it's a really huge figure. So we have to do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, 50% is, it's quite huge. I can only imagine. Joy, what is stigma from where you stand? And in fact, just allow me to ask you, did you experience stigma? Seeing that you have lived experience, and how did that impact you?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. To me, like Roger said, stigma is actually negative remarks you make about someone's condition or situation. And it comes off as a joke, especially from family and friends. And sometimes to them, they see it as tough love. It's just their own way of like, I'm showing you tough love. Okay, I want you to be okay. And this is my way of trying to make you okay. So I tell you I'm depressed, and you be like, why will you be depressed? Why will you be depressed? And or you tell me you are just so emotional, you are acting crazy. These are some of the things they say. At a point, I was actually accused of being crazy. Like um um my ex then, he said something. He said there's something he's scared of, which is emotionally unstable people. He said he's scared of two things: emotionally unstable people and also a mad person. So indirectly, he was saying I'm crazy. And that really hurt my feelings. Okay. Because you know what I've gone through. So this is why I'm feeling this way. So at a point, based on he was calling me a crazy person, I actually thought I was crazy. And imagine a situation whereby choosing comes to you and say you are crazy. Rogers comes to you and say you are crazy. I come to you and say you are crazy. Okay, they said something that in the matter of three people, there's a weakness, or the matter is actually established. So many people around you are actually saying you are crazy, you are crazy, you are crazy. It gets to a point you start to feel, oh, this thing is actually true. So it can actually worsen the situation. For me, I was accused of being possessed. Okay, I come from a very religious background. I grew up in the church. And these are some of the things we create awareness on, because people don't really have the right information on these things. So they feel, oh, as a Christian, you shouldn't battle with your mental health. You shouldn't struggle with your mental health. Even when you get overwhelmed, you shouldn't act a certain way. We all have different coping mechanisms. So there should be an understanding of that. And for me, I was surrounded by people that they didn't have the right knowledge on mental health issues. So it was a lot of things for me. It was a lot of things for me. And you've backslided. It's not normal for a Christian, to speak in tongues and be depressed. It's not okay for a Christian to actually go through this thing. It's just because you don't pray. It's because you don't study your word. So it was difficult. It really affected me for a very, very long time. And for years I was drowning because I didn't really have the right care. So those are like, stigma to me is negative remark from people around us that sometimes comes as a subtle way of trying to silence you from actually talking about your challenges. And sometimes it comes as a way of, oh, I'm trying to make you feel okay. But they don't know that that way of going about it is not the right way, and they're actually not helping you. To them, they feel they are trying to show you tough love, but it's actually not helping the situation. That's it.
Thank you, Joy, for sharing that. I feel like Rogers has something that he would like to share and contribute from where you come from your community, Rogers. How, I mean, we've had a lot about what Joy went through, and Joy, I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for sharing your own personal experience and the issues that came along with that, and specifically the people around you, specifically about religion and what we are told around religion, and people trying to tell you what not to be or why you are the way you are. And I like the notion of, I actually like the comment that you made, that sometimes it's from a good space, sometimes it's from a good intention, where somebody is trying to do what they think is the right thing in terms of supporting you, but it's not really what is working. So thank you for sharing that with us. Rogers, how has it been around the Kisi community? I'm wondering if it's different. Maybe I can also share from my community as well. I think Rogers is frozen. Right. It's okay. When he comes back, we'll get into that. But let's go to, I think one of the things that I would like to add on to that in regards to stigma and mental illnesses, and specifically looking within the families, I believe that stigma starts from, like Joy has said, from the people closest to you. For me, I believe it starts directly in the family. Once your family members start to treat you differently, yeah, if initially you could be trusted with money, they now feel like, they can't give you money because you misuse it. If initially they could involve you in decision making of the family, now they're not involving you in decision making, yeah, because they're afraid that you might not take it well, or for whatever reason it is that they have concocted in their head. That's already stigma beginning within the family setup, because what that is doing, it's stripping you of that humanity. At the end of the day, you are a human being first, and it's really sad just to hear, even from what Joy has said, this is somebody you're vulnerable to, somebody you care about, somebody you've opened up to, come back to you and say, I'm scared of people who are mad, or I'm scared of people who have mental illnesses. Yet, you know, Joy is still the same person. She's still the same human being that she was at the beginning of that relationship. So there is a lot of misconception and shallowness that comes with um, how we look at mental health in general. I see Rogers is back. Rogers, would you like to add on to what Joy was talking about?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Gadoni. Sorry for the technical hitch. Actually, what Joy has spoken about, we come from different cultural beliefs, where some people believe like mental illness is witchcraft, especially where I come from. Most people relate mental illness to witchcraft, And again, I can say the church has a big role to play in destigmatizing mental health, because most of the time when people maybe become sick, or they have a mental illness, the first place they run to is to the church. And the church has a big role to tell them, or they can refer them to a facility where they can get help. You get like in the society, uh, especially uh, where I come from. I'm speaking from Kisi because actually we have a very big role to do. We have a very big task to play, so that people can know that mental health is just an illness like any other illness. Because most people, before they come to hospital, they usually visit first the traditional, I think traditionalists. They get treated, they don't get any better, and they come back to hospital when they are worse. So what you have said about people judging you about your condition, especially your loved ones judging you, they may feel that you are pretending you are sick, but deep inside someone is going through a lot. So what I can say is that the things that we are doing, like the sessions we're having now, are going a long way to help people open up and seek help whenever they get a problem, a psychological problem, and mental problem. Yes.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The church is actually the biggest institution that has family together, not just the church, but, religious institutions. Yeah. Just considering all religious institutions, those are actually the biggest gatherers of family. And it would be so powerful if the conversation also is emphasized, because that is where people go to. The first stop is the caddies, the pastors, the church counselors, for any issues, including ourselves, and especially the African culture. Yeah, we are, very religious, very prayerful. Our belief system is on another level, and I want to say that I believe spirituality plays a part that is important. But what I want to say is that it's more complementing rather than picking one over the other. And I feel that it would be, so much better if we are able to incorporate a holistic way of looking at community healing, because we don't heal in isolation, for sure. So as much as there's therapy, as much as there's medication, the community plays a bigger role, and also spirituality plays an equally big role. So yeah, how is mental health portrayed in your community? How is mental health um, portrayed in your community? I think from where I come from, it's just a very small percentage of people who have truly authentically accepted. There is a group of people who say, they've accepted until this happens close to them, then you realize that they don't want to have the conversation. We are secretly still using names that are derogatory within our community. We are secretly still propagating stigma to our family members. We are secretly still talking in harsh tones when somebody has a mental illness. So I would say, from where I come from the community I come from, we still use those derogatory words. We say nemogoroki. In fact, if you want to insult somebody, that's the word that you go for first. So I think that continues to propagate a stigma a lot. Let me hear what are your experiences from each and every one of your communities. Feel free to unmute and go ahead. Any one of you.
Okay, thank you, Gathoni, again. Maybe I share from my community how people perceive mental health. and how people perceive those people practice mental health. Like there are people, especially, that's what we call institutional stigma, whereby the staff that you work with uh, will tell you at the end of the day, or as you practice mental health, one day you are going to have a mental problem. That's one of stigma that I'm trying to end, because it's very common among health workers. And actually it has made many people not to go to do psychiatrical practice the mental health. And then when it comes to my community, we've really tried, we have CBOs that go around to teach people about mental health, to tell people what mental health is, that it's a brain disorder that can be treated like any other illness. But still we have those people who insist that if you treat this person, maybe the person who bewitched that uh, person is going to come after you. So those are the weird beliefs that we have in our in our community. Some Okay, you find that you want to offer help to a person who has a mental problem. You are going to help them for free, but they feel that your medications are actually going to kill them, not help them, because they don't have an illness. They're just having a problem that was brought by someone. So there's still a lot of misinformation, misconceptions, and negative beliefs about mental health. And I think we are trying to do our best as a community to talk to our people about what mental health is, and that it can be treated. That work.
I think Rogers has frozen there briefly. Yeah, I
Okay.
I was smiling as he was sharing because as a mental health practitioner myself for a very long time, until now, every time I go somewhere, even if I've gone out, and as long as I'm meeting people who don't know me, the conversation will always end towards, "So what do you do?" And immediately I say, "I'm a psychologist." That whole conversation will change from there on, whether it's out in a social place or in a church. So I agree with Rogers before he disappeared that there's so much that needs to be done. There is still, a lot of stigma, and there is always that conversation around, "Oh, so you're trying to read our mind." When you're here, why are you very quiet? Are you trying to read our mind? Yeah. So it's almost as if somebody is anticipating something negative just by your presence being there. Secondly was just the other day I was having an argument with a friend of mine who was saying that, these mental health practitioners, they're the ones who even have more problems than us, and yet they are here advising us. And I was like, I think the expectation that a mental health practitioner will not have a problem is the problem, because this is a human being. So because they are human beings, they have the same kind of stressors like any other person. They have families, stressors with their children, stressors with their work, financial stressors, just like the rest of the world. Just because you are a practitioner does not mean that you are exempted from any of these stressors. So there is also usually that, what can I call it, there is an expectation that has been put of almost that this person should be perfect, or they should live perfectly because they have the tools. And if they go out of way a little bit, then they are branded to have apparently more issues than others. So even for mental illness, I mean, statistics say 1 in 8, not 1 in 8 preachers or 1 in 8 lawyers. It's population, all of you. So if it's a group of 8 psychologists, it's still going to be 1 in 8 or 8 psychiatrists. So the same way other doctors will get any other illness, it's not any different. So we need to keep destigmatizing and this conversation where mental health is concerned. Joy, what are your thoughts? Rogers, you can add later. Sorry, you got cut off. Please unmute.
Sorry. Yeah, can you hear me now? When Rogers was talking, I was actually laughing because it's funny and I can actually relate to everything he was saying. So that was why I was laughing. Like in this Nigerian community, on Monday we had a tweet chat on with Chiromo Hospital Group. I was one of the panelists, and after that week chat, I was in a barbing salon, and we were actually having a conversation around the stigmatizing mental health and suicide. Okay, and someone was like, "Why would I commit suicide? What on earth would make someone want to kill his or herself?" And I was like, I'm just praying you don't get to that point where life is overwhelming to the point you have no hope. And it was like, there's nothing in this life. Why would a lady break up with me and I will try to kill myself? And I made them understand that people kill themselves or people commit suicide, or the actual word, person dies through suicide, because it's more like the person has gotten to that point where there's no hope. Like, oh, this pain I'm feeling, there's no remedy, there's no relief for it. So the only way for me to actually get rid of the pain, the stress, is to actually die. Because when you are dead, you don't have emotions, you don't feel nothing. So there's a lot of misinformation. And when it comes to mental health, I have a therapist. Okay, I have a therapist, and literally like every mental health professional I know has a therapist, because what we do is overwhelming. Okay, and sometimes we can be too idealistic in the sense that we want to save everybody, and that's from a place of the passion we have. There's a big gap when in mental health when it comes to Africa. So sometimes when we look at those things, we want to do so much, want to go all everywhere, like, okay, preach the gospel of mental health. Okay, and that alone is tiring. And the expectations on us, like you said, Gidoni, that I hope I pronounced your name right. You said there are a lot of expectations because people think we are superhumans. Okay, people think we are superhumans. No, we don't get stressed, we don't get anxious, we have life all easy going, which is not entirely true. I know sometimes when people expect so much, there are a lot of pressures on you. Like as a mental health, I actually experienced that this morning. Okay, yesterday a friend of mine couldn't reach out to me because I was feeling overwhelmed, and aside that, I've had a long day, so I just turned off my phone, and he couldn't reach out to me. And this morning we spoke. He was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm not okay," and I shared with him why I wasn't okay. And guess what he said? He said, "You are a mental health advocate, so why will you be feeling overwhelmed?" So you see that a lot. It's what we go through
I
every
hear
day.
you. Yeah.
That is what we go through every day. There are lots of expectations. You are superhuman. You advocate for mental health, so you should know how to go about these things. You're not supposed to get stressed because you know how to manage stress. Like it's funny. It's funny. And when you talk about mental health issues, people look at you like, what are you saying? Is that a thing? Or when you say I'm going for a therapy session, they look at you like, why will you be going for a therapy session? But if you could go to a dentist, why can't I see a therapist?
Exactly.
Okay,
Why
why can't
not?
I why can't I see a therapist too? You go
Mm.
for doctor's appointment to check your blood pressure. I should also go to someone to talk about how I feel, because most times talking is healing. And what's even best than talking is the fact that I have someone that actually understands how I feel. For instance, Gidoni, you might know Kelvin Opepe, right?
Mm.
um, he's my personal therapist. And at times I just call him and I was like, "Sir, this is how I feel. I don't want you to try to fix anything right now. I just need you to listen to me." And being
Right.
a therapist, and we are both in the same field, you understand how I feel, and he just listens, and I feel okay. He asks me, "How do you feel?" So the problem around Nigerian community is the fact that they don't have the right information, and it also shows we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot
Right.
to do in Africa. So that's all I
Mm.
have to add to this.
Thank you, Joy, for that. Absolutely. And I see that we are running out of time. Just allow me. Thank you. Those were really rich um, contributions. Chosen. What have you been doing to destigmatize mental health? Oh, sorry. Please
Okay.
unmute.
What I've been doing is educate my fellow community members about the stigma thing and let them know what it is all about and how to overcome it. And I've always encouraged each other to join support groups. And these support groups are groups where we find many various people with a similar experience with an expert who can help us overcome what we are going through. And I've always encouraged us, me and my fellow members, community members, to always don't buy into the stigma. Don't always go into it. Don't always think about it, because once you think about it, it really drains you out all. And always encourage them to always have what to do. Because if you're always like doing nothing, really you will be always thinking about what people said about me, what they talked about, and I really don't encourage one being either. At least find like what you can do, read a book, go for a sport, walk. And I've always encouraged my fellow friends and any other person to always seek out help, seek for help, because I can't do it on my own. And once you seek help, you can always be helped out. And you should always speak up. Don't be afraid of speaking up. And once you speak up, you will be always helped. Because, okay, me personally, if I am having an issue, I always talk out and I get help. So I also encourage others to speak up. Once you air out your problem, I can this helped and everything goes on well. So with that, I'm always sure that something can be done. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chosen, for that. Yeah, a problem shared is a problem half solved. And I just love that on the emphasis of living by example. So when you begin to seek for help, then you also open up that avenue in terms of normalizing that it is okay to seek for help. And therefore, it is easier for the next person to actually come to you. I say this without hesitation that no one likes to be the only dysfunctional one without a circle, in the circle. So vulnerability also requires vulnerability. Nobody wants to be the only one who is always there talking about their negative experiences. Yeah. So if we are truly going to be authentic with ourselves, if we are truly going to be authentic with the people around us and the people that we care about us, it also calls for us to be able to be vulnerable and share in oneness. I know, Joy, that you're a big mental health advocate, but just give us more insight into some of the work that you're doing with Lead Foundation. And maybe
In Lead Community Foundation, we carry out sensitization campaigns around mental health issues to schools and even online. We have a project, Lead Project, which is living every day above depression. So we sensitize people on the need to actually speak up and give them the right information around mental health issues. Because when you have a better understanding of something, it's easier to accept it and it's easier to actually find solution. It's just like someone has a problem and you don't really know you have a problem. For instance, you don't understand what it is. Finding the right solution, it would be almost impossible. So this is what we do in Lead. Okay, and personally, I have a YouTube channel and I create content around mental health and relationship from my own experience, because I have lived experience. And one thing I've come to understand over the years is from my own personal experiences. When it comes to people living with mental illness, people around them don't really know how to live with them. They don't know how to manage people around them, their loved ones, and it's more like they struggle with relationship. Okay, some of the persons living with mental illness, they have these tendencies of sabotaging relationships, around them. So this is, I noticed there's a gap in that area. So as a mental health advocate and as a relationship coach, I actually teach people how they can actually build and sustain, and also bridge the gap between their mental health and their relationship. Because sometimes we find ourselves in relationship like families, whereby parents, the way they parent us, like parenting styles, okay, affect our mental health. That's why you see people, they have childhood traumas and all that. And some persons go into they are working in an organization, and the work culture is actually very toxic. It affects their mental health. So it's not like there's a gap, a bridge between our mental health and our relationships. In the church, there are things in that religious environment that actually affect our mental health. So this is basically what my work is centered around.
Thank you, Joy, and congratulations, and keep up the good work. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chosen, for sharing. Rogers, tell me, what are you doing in regards to destigmatizing mental health? Please go ahead. Just unmute.
Okay. Thank you, Gathoni, again. Apart from working at the county referral hospital, I also run a CBO that offers free mental health services, including sensitization, and we also run different support groups that people with different mental health conditions meet every Sunday to discuss and share experiences about what they are going through and how they've overcome that. I myself, being a suicide survivor, I usually don't fear to talk about it, because the moment I talk about it, many people also come forward and share their stories, because we have so many people hurting inside, but they fear, because of the stigma, they fear speaking out and seeking for help. So we usually do walks, we do social media sensitization, and from using our local media houses, or the vernacular radio stations and the TV stations, we raise awareness about mental health. That's what I do basically. And as I told you, right now we are at a sub-county hospital where one of our staff died by suicide, and we've come to do like a debriefing session with them, and talk more about suicide and how we can prevent suicide. Yeah, that's basically what I do.
Thank you, Rogers. It's really, really refreshing to hear what various people are doing in their spaces. We at Chiromo Hospital Group, we are really huge on creating mental health awareness in all the platforms, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Here we are, the Mindful Mondays that have been running for, I think, almost now 4 years consistently every Monday. CSR activities within the community, engagements specifically with the youth, walks, book launches, and I can say truly, my heart is warmed just to see how many more young people are coming out to do things on their own that are supporting the community. I mean, truly, if we are honest with ourselves, and you'll find that a lot of people, somebody, you either know somebody, whether it's yourself or somebody close to you or your family member or your friend. By now you must have met somebody suffering from a mental illness. And I'll say what um, I usually say, and my favorite quote, which says that what mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. As we wind down today, how can our healthcare systems ensure that the delivery of mental health care is stigma free? What are some of the ways you feel our healthcare system can help where stigma is concerned? Maybe let me hear from Nigeria, with the hugest population. What are some of the things? What do you think can be done? Please unmute Joy.
No, what's wrong? Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I think the first step is actually understanding that everybody deserves access to mental health care. And we are Africans and we know how we can be sometimes. And in the Nigerian society, sometimes we show preference to a particular social class, okay, like favorism. Okay, this person is from a high income family, so I should attend to this person first before attending to this person. So those are some of the challenges. So, and it's more like stigmatization, okay, because you're making me feel like I'm from a poor income family, so I don't deserve to be taken care of. So, to one way the healthcare system in Nigeria can actually destigmatize mental health is knowing that as professionals, as healthcare workers, everyone deserves access, equal rights. Everyone has equal rights to healthcare services.
Thank you, Joy. About sorry for your comment. I'm just seeing that there is. Thank you, Joy. About sorry for your comment. Just a minute. I'm just reading a comment from our Facebook Live. That's what I was trying to look at. Let's have it displayed here as I read. Oh, and it's from Claire, who is saying, talking of self stigma, that she's a victim, a serious victim. She's been depressed thrice this year so far. But this time around, it's been worse. She has developed eating disorders as well. Talking to some people is kind of hard because itself causes stigma. So, what remedies should I take to deal with self stigma? And thank you for the wonderful conversation. Thank you, panelists, as well, for the wonderful conversations. I'm just wondering, what are some of the things? Maybe go back a little bit and talk about the difference between social stigma and self stigma. We'll probably look at which one is worse. I know we are running out of time, but I think this is very, very um, important. I don't know who would like to take that up. Um, Anyone? Any volunteer? Yes, Joy, please go ahead.
Like when it comes to this stigma discussion, it's quite personal for me because I've experienced it firsthand. Claire, I'm sorry you're actually going through that at the moment. I want you to know that your emotions and whatever it is you are feeling based on the situation, it's actually valid. Okay? And though it's difficult, it might be crazy, but you are not crazy. Okay? And you will definitely overcome whatever it is you are dealing with at the moment. The first step is actually surrounding yourself with the right people, okay, people that genuinely care about you, okay. And sometimes finding those people is very difficult. It's difficult, but here's one thing that helped me. I joined support groups because it's like a tribe, a community of people that understand each other, okay. For instance, you might not really know how to go about the physical support groups, but there are support groups online whereby you could actually talk to people. And thank God that you are part of this discussion, like you've been watching us live. You could actually reach out to I or Rogers or Choosing or any of us, because already we are professionals. We understand what it is like. Okay, you can talk to us. We won't judge you. So that's how I feel you could really help yourself with the stigma. And also want you to practice affirmations, because when people tell you things, there's a way our mind works. It's more like it's storing it. As a computer science graduate, in computing we have garbage in, garbage out, right? So when you send, maybe on your keyboard, you actually type some words, it stores it in, it processes it. That's how our mind works. When people tell you something, your brain processes it, it stores those things. So you really have to be very deliberate to actually, like, okay, for instance, someone calls you, you are crazy, and you try to process it. Am I really crazy? Sometimes we buy these lies, but you are not crazy. So you have to be deliberate enough to actually tell yourself, once that thought of you are crazy comes to you, you tell yourself, no, I am not crazy. So you have to make sure you detox your mind. And one way to do this is you practice self-talks, you practice self-affirmations, okay? Like sometimes yesterday I was, like I said earlier, I was feeling overwhelmed. Like I needed to do something, and at that moment I couldn't do it. So I was having this feeling of like I'm inadequate. So I had to tell myself, counter that thought. I am not inadequate. The fact that this moment I can't actually solve this challenge does not make me inadequate as a person. So you have to be really deliberate when it comes to helping yourself around matters that has to do with stigmatization. You have to be deliberate. At that moment, I countered those thoughts in my head. I am not inadequate. The fact that I can't deal with this right now does not make me less of a person. What can I control at the moment? What can't I control? So these are things that helped me, and I believe they will also help you. And you can always reach out to any of us. I believe Choosing is open to people reaching out to our I am, Gidoni, and Roger. So you can always talk to us, connect with people that understand what it is like to go through what you are going through. There are support groups online. If you don't know how to look for support groups in your community, there are support groups online on Facebook, or you could just search for mental health advocates online and you can share with them. I believe they will be able to help you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joy, for that. And thank you, Claire, for sharing with us. And I can only imagine how it must be to suffer from an illness that nobody can be able to see, and on top of that, face stigma, not just from the people around you, but also that self stigma. But like Joy has said, we are here for you. We are here to support you. And if you are in Claire's shoes, I want you to know that we do have a toll free line, 0800 220 000. Please feel free to make a call. There's a group of psychologists behind that toll free line. It runs 24 hours actually. So, sometimes I wouldn't know. I wouldn't, I can only imagine sometimes how hard it is to talk about some of these things, either to a colleague or to a family member. But if you're looking for a safe space, this is one way that you can use to reach out to somebody on a professional capacity. Rogers, do you have any comments in regards to Claire's question?
Thank you, Gadoni. Actually, Joy has summarized what Claire can do. And what I can say is that we are ready to listen to her. That's the best we can do for now. And
Yeah.
the self-reassurance that Claire has talked about, she needs to practice that more. Yeah, basically that's what I can say.
Yeah. Thank you, Rogers, for that. Chosen, would you like to just leave Claire with a comment?
Okay, it has all been said, but yeah, we are here to support, to help. It's all about you reaching out. Don't let it just sit on you. Just speak out and we can help. Yes.
Thank you for that. As we wind down this conversation, please let me just hear your thoughts, Rogers, in regards, just before we close, what our healthcare systems can do to ensure that we have mental health care that is stigma free. What are your thoughts on that?
Can I start?
Yes, Chosen. Please go ahead.
Okay, for the healthcare units, they have to show unity, come and listen to what the people are saying, and do accordingly to what is supposed to be done so that people can get well. Because at some point when you read newspapers, when you get to listen, this stigma isn't doing well with the people. So the healthcare should come up and listen to what the people are saying. Because if I personally can't run to church because at some point church is far and hospital is near, there are the people to help us out, and they should also share messages of recovery, because I had Rogers telling us and Joy. So if one comes to you, at least encourage them with the messages, and at least if I'm to come, I listen to that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not alone, but at least I can maneuver through it. And by the end of the day, I'm okay. I get well. So we all go through different things, but at least I know my message can heal you, can heal someone out there. So that's what they can do. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chosen, for that. Absolutely. One of the favorite things that I always remember is, if you can be anything in this world, just be kind. Just be kind. Listen, support. You never know who you're talking to. You never know what space they are in at that particular time. And you also never know how powerful just being kind and being present is to that individual. Rogers, anything that you feel that the healthcare system can do?
Okay. Thank you, Gathoni. So far, I want to appreciate the work that the government is trying to do. We recently had the mental health bill enacted into law, and some other policies that are being implemented to help us get the right resources and infrastructure for mental health. And I really appreciate Chiroma, what you've been doing. I really, really appreciate this. Many people are now getting to know what mental health is through your online sessions, through the various social media platforms. What I would really want healthcare system to have, especially these other now private hospitals, they should incorporate the mental health services as a daily, like as we say, 1 in 4 people might have a mental problem. Let's have in every hospital a mental health practitioner, so that we can manage these conditions before they get out of hand, and we can have community mental health services in the community, whereby people can be managed, or they can get psychological first aid before they are referred to these bigger facilities. Yeah, that's what we can do.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You are reminding me of psychological first aid. Even before getting to those bigger facilities, the person next to you is actually the most crucial and vital individual around you. So, thank you for all the compliments, and just allow me to say that this year Chiromo Hospital Group won the best use of social media in healthcare, and it's because of these programs that are online, from the it's called what, Quality Healthcare Awards. So it also feels great to see some of those efforts be recognized. And that would not be possible anyway without the followers, without all the panelists who share their time, their resources, their wisdom. So this is a whole movement that is happening. And in that same breath, I would like to say, if there are any projects that you are doing or engaging in from whatever space you are in, we are ready and here to support each and every one of you, because at the end of the day, we belong to one community. One community. So if we are all able to heal the community, then that's another generation that is going to come, that is going to be more healed. Okay. So last but not least, allow me to ask you about just give us a parting shot. Give us a parting shot. I'll start from Joy, then Chosen, then Rogers, just following the grid. Anything that you would like to say as your last words, or anything that you'd like to say in terms of how you'd encourage people to continue fighting against stigma in mental health?
Yeah, can you all hear me? I would like to say people should know that vulnerability is not weakness, because it's one misconception people have. Okay, it actually takes courage to open up, and whenever you are feeling overwhelmed, I always advise people to have one person they could actually talk to about anything. Someone I could just call up and, like, this is how I feel. I just want to rant and talk to the person. It really helps, and you have to prioritize yourself and know your triggers. What are those things that really triggers you? You know, when you're happy, what are those things that triggers that emotions of happiness when you are sad or angry? So in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is be true to yourself. And one way you can be true to yourself is sitting down with yourself, and always tell people that it's foolishness not to be vulnerable with yourself. Okay. And one way you can even be true to yourself is being vulnerable with yourself and knowing yourself and accepting you are as a person. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Joy. It was also such a pleasure to have you here. We are looking forward to coming to Nigeria. We look for you there. Chosen, what are your last, what are your thoughts and your parting shot, and any encouragement you have for people in terms of leading the conversation on destigmatizing mental health?
Okay, thank you once again. All I tell the people out there, they should always speak up. They shouldn't just sit, because if you sit, things won't go on well. And always make sure that at least you run into someone to help you out, because no man is an island. We all need each other, and seek help. Please seek help. That's all I can say. And thank you for having me. It's such a blessing and I'm privileged to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chosen. Seek help. No man is an island. Good reminder as we end this conversation. You cannot heal in isolation. You cannot thrive in isolation. So let's just be cognizant of the people around us and reach out, and not have fear in terms of being branded as weak, or whatever it is that will be thrown your way, because you actually stretched out your hand and said, I need help. So thank you so much, Chosen, all the way from Uganda. We're also coming there, Rogers and I, and we are very excited. We'll tell you, we'll call you. Yes, thank you. Rogers?
Thank you so much, Gadoni, for having me. Thank you to my other panelists. It's been a wonderful discussion, and I'm happy we're trying to help our people know more about mental health. And my parting shot is to my people, or everyone listening to me, is that mental health is just a condition like any other condition. It's treatable. You can get help, and it's okay not to be okay. Shout for help whenever you feel that you are down. You want to talk to someone, just speak up. Don't fear. Get someone you trust and talk to them, because At the rate at which our, especially the young people, are ending their lives by suicide is alarming, and we should put that to an end by doing what Chirom Hospital is doing. And another thing uh, I can say is that the the government, like I said earlier, starting community mental health programs. That one will go a long way, and supporting the existing organizations like the one that Joy has, the lead project. If the government supports such organizations, we are going to help more people, and more people are going to seek for help. Yeah, that's what I can say for now, Gadoni.
Absolutely. The more we normalize this conversation, the more we readily are to help, the more actually the government comes on board. It's such a powerful institution, when the government says we are doing this, the same kind of energy we had when we did roll out the awareness about HIV, and I believe we can do that. There's a lot of change that can come, because at the end of the day, what makes this more painful is that it's also preventative. Yeah, suicide is, it can be prevented. So it really breaks my heart that sometimes somebody gets to a point where they feel there is no any other choice. But all in all, we are going to continue to do what we can and going to continue to support. There is another comment. I think it was Chris. Let me just look it up. Somebody who just made a comment on the Facebook in regards to this. Oh, there's Tayen who says, "Lovely session, guys. Keep going with the good work and more so supporting each other." I really appreciate these panelists as well. And thank you so much, Tayen. We have another comment from Charles Njuguna who says, "We also can advocate for a stop the stigma or end stigma campaign and make it international so as to create a stigma free society stroke nation." I could not agree more. And this was such a wholesome conversation with the our mother Africa very well represented, and I really, really do appreciate for that. So for everybody who joined this conversation today, I appreciate all of you. For the panelists who came out today, I really do appreciate all of you. And anybody who is going to find this conversation later, please feel free to drop a comment for our panelists, ask a question to any one of our panelists. We are going to tag them in this conversation so that they can come back and answer your questions, follow their pages as well, and keep supporting them. Today is the last Thursday of the 10th month. 2 more months, guys. Last but not least, if you wrote New Year's resolution, 2 more months. So please start if you've not started. And good evening to all of you. Kwaherini.